All right, so it looks like we're diving into the Mistborn board game today.
Yeah, getting ready to learn it.
Sounds like you're looking for like a quick rundown of the rules before you play your first game.
That's right.
Let's jump in.
Yeah, let's dive into what makes this game tick.
Okay.
We'll start with the basics, the lore.
Okay.
You are on Scadrial, a world covered in ash and shrouded in mists.
Right.
It's ruled by this tyrannical lord ruler who enforces his will through these terrifying creatures like Kulos and the infamous Steel Inquisitors.
Yeah, and like, who doesn't love a good Steel Inquisitor?
Right. No one. But there is hope. You are playing as a Mistborn.
Okay.
Someone who can use Allomancy, a magic system powered by burning various metals.
Burning metals for magic. That sounds intense.
It is.
How does that like translate into an actual game?
That's where the deck building comes in.
Okay.
The cards you play represent different Allomantic powers fueled by burning those metals.
Okay.
Think of it as like building your character's abilities as you go. You want to shoot coins with steel like a mystical gunslinger.
Right.
You can do that.
That sounds awesome.
Or maybe you prefer enhancing your strength with pewter and becoming an unstoppable brawler.
Okay, I am so sold.
Right.
But what's the objective here?
Yeah.
How do you actually win this game?
So you have two paths to victory.
Okay.
Complete enough missions to gain influence and overthrow the Lord Ruler.
Okay.
Or you can eliminate your opponents
Oh.
in true Mistborn fashion.
Right, so like a little PvP action.
Yeah, it has this really interesting choice. Like, do you focus on strategic objectives or go all out on combat?
Right.
And to make things even more interesting, there's even a cooperative mode where everyone teams up against the Lord Ruler himself.
Wow.
But we can get to that later.
We'll put a pin in that.
Yeah.
So walk me through a typical round.
Okay.
Like what does a player actually do on their turn?
Every turn, you move up the training track,
Yeah.
representing your Mistborn growing in power. This unlocks the ability to burn more metals and even activate special character power.
Right.
Then comes the heart of the game.
Okay.
You play cards from your hand, you spend matching metal tokens to activate their abilities, and unleash your Allomantic skills.
I like it.
It's all about creating these cool combos and outsmarting your opponents.
So like you could use pewter to boost a steel-powered attack.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see the possibilities.
Right, and after you've, had your fun flinging metal-powered abilities, you get to hit the market.
Okay.
And buy new cards to improve your deck. This cycle of improvement and refinement is what drives the gameplay.
Gotcha.
You're constantly adapting, just like a Mistborn mastering their powers.
Okay, I'm following so far.
Good.
But what about those Allomantic metals?
Yes.
How do they work exactly? Are we talking literal metal
Yeah,
here?
no need to bring your blacksmithing tools to the table.
Okay, good.
The game uses tokens to represent the 8 Allomantic metals.
Okay.
And each metal governs a specific aspect of Allomancy. So, for example, steel is all about combat and disrupting the market. Pewter enhances your strength and healing.
Okay.
Tin sharpens your senses and helps with missions and so on. It's like the strategic periodic table of pain.
That's a great way to put it. So you play a card, and then you burn the matching metal token
Exactly.
to activate its effect. That makes sense.
Exactly. And here's where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
There's a mechanic called flaring,
Oh.
where you can overspend your metals to give yourself like a temporary boost.
Okay.
But just like a Mistborn pushing their limits, there's
Yeah.
a price to pay.
Oh, no.
You'll need to refresh those flared metals later by discarding cards.
Okay.
Which creates some tough choices. Do you burn bright now and risk being weaker later?
Yeah.
Or play it safe, and this constant push and pull between power and resource management is what makes the game so engaging.
Decisions.
Yes, exactly.
I can already see how that would add like a layer of tension. To the game, it's not just about having the coolest card. It's about knowing when to use it.
You got it. Now there's one more metal we need to talk about.
Okay.
Atium.
Oh, Atium.
Yeah, it's the rarest and most powerful metal.
Right.
And it's not even available at the start of the game.
Really?
You have to unlock it by progressing on the training track or completing missions.
Okay.
What makes Atium so special is that it can substitute for any other metal.
Oh, wow.
So think of it like a wild card.
Okay.
A trump card you can use to power up any ability.
So if you're desperate to play a certain card,
Right.
but you don't have the right metals, Atium can save the day.
Exactly. But each Atium token is single use.
Okay.
So you have to use them wisely. It's a valuable resource that can really turn the tide of battle, but you don't want to waste it.
This is all starting to make sense to me. You play cards, you burn metals.
Yeah.
You buy new cards.
Yeah.
You try not to blow yourself up with flaring.
That's right.
But what about those cards?
Yes.
Could you give me like a better sense of what kind of actions and abilities you're talking about here?
There are two main types of cards in the Mark-In deck.
Okay.
Actions and allies.
Okay.
Action cards have immediate effects like that coin shooting attack we mentioned earlier.
Right.
Or maybe boosting your combat strength or healing yourself.
Okay.
Or even manipulating the market to deny your opponent's crucial resources.
Give me an example of like a cool action card, something that just screams Mistborn.
Sure, let's say you need to take out an opponent's ally.
Okay.
Or deal a hefty chunk of damage. There's a card called Crash.
Rash.
Yeah, it's a simple but brutal iron card
Okay.
that gives you 3 combat strength for 4 coins. It gets the job done.
Nice. Simple, but what about allies? Are they like your partners in crime?
You could say that allies are cards that stick around and provide ongoing benefits as long as they survive.
Gotcha.
So, for example, the Pickpocket is an iron ally.
Uh-huh.
That gives you 1 coin every time you burn iron.
Oh.
It's not much, but those small advantages can really add up over time.
I like how each card has like its own personality.
Yeah.
Just like the characters in the books.
Absolutely.
It's not just about the numbers. It's about theme and flavor.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered metals and cards and Atium.
Right.
Can we circle back to that training track?
Sure.
You mentioned that it unlocks some cool stuff.
It does.
Fill me in on the details.
The training track represents your Mistborn's journey to mastery.
Okay.
As you move up the track, you unlock several key benefits.
Okay.
First, you gain the ability to burn more metals, each turn reflecting your growing Allomantic skill. By the end, you'll be a metal-burning machine.
More power. Always a good thing.
Right. You also unlock unique character abilities.
Oh, cool.
Each Mistborn has their own special powers based on their personality and history.
Okay.
For example, if you're playing as Vin,
Uh-huh.
her pewter power gives you a bonus whenever you heal, representing her incredible resilience.
I love that it's like the game is rewarding you for playing true to your character's strengths.
Right.
So what's the ultimate reward for reaching the end of the training track?
Yeah. Besides becoming a metal-burning powerhouse with unique character abilities,
Right.
you also start generating Atium every time you advance on a mission track.
Wow.
It's like a reward for your Mistborn's relentless pursuit of power, and it makes those later turns even more intense.
Okay. I think I'm starting to get the hang of this. Play cards, burn metals, buy better cards.
Yeah.
Climb that training track and try to outsmart my opponents.
Exactly.
But there's one thing I'm still curious about.
Okay.
How exactly does combat work? Is it a free-for-all?
So combat in Mistborn, it's more than just a slugfest. It's about calculated aggression.
Okay.
In larger games, the target mechanic forces you to engage with other players.
Okay.
At the end of your turn, you have to attack whoever holds the target token.
Huh?
They can then choose to pass it,
Oh.
shifting the threat.
That sounds like it adds a political layer to the game.
Yeah.
Like, do you try to stay under the radar?
Exactly.
Or do you embrace the role of the aggressor?
It becomes a question of risk versus reward. Do you build a deck to withstand constant attacks?
Right.
Or focus on offense and try to control who becomes the target?
Interesting.
And remember those allies we talked about?
Yeah.
They don't just provide benefits, they also act as a shield,
Okay.
absorbing damage before it hits your Mistborn.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so building a strong crew can be just as important as having powerful attacks.
So you're not just building a deck, you're building a team.
That's right.
Speaking of teams, you mentioned a cooperative mode.
Yes.
Where everyone gangs up on the Lord Ruler.
Yes.
That sounds right up my alley.
the Lord Ruler mode.
Can you tell me more about how that works?
It's a whole different way to experience Mistborn.
Okay.
Instead of competing against each other, you and your fellow Mistborn
Right.
join forces to take down the tyrant himself.
Okay.
Think of it as an epic boss battle with a unique set of challenges and strategic twists.
Okay. I'm officially intrigued.
Yeah.
But before we get into the nitty-gritty,
Yeah,
remind me, who is this Lord Ruler?
right.
My Mistborn lore is a little rusty.
He's the seemingly immortal tyrant who has ruled Scadrial for 1,000 years,
Okay.
and he's a powerful allomancer and feruchemist,
Right.
making him basically a god among mortals.
Okay, so like a final boss?
You and your team will be facing a serious uphill battle.
So how does the game actually change in this mode?
Okay.
Are we still trying to complete missions?
Missions take on a new meaning in this mode.
Okay.
Instead of competing for points, each completed mission weakens the Lord Ruler's grip on the world.
Okay.
It's like you're chipping away at his power base with every success.
So we're not just fighting him directly.
Right.
We're dismantling his regime from the inside out.
Exactly.
I like the strategic depth of that.
Yeah.
What happens when we complete a mission?
Completing missions not only weakens the Lord Ruler, but also unlocks powerful rewards that can help in the final confrontation.
Okay.
These rewards might give you special abilities, access to powerful allies, or
Yeah.
even precious Atium.
Speaking of the Lord Ruler, how does he actually fight back? Does he just sit on a throne and scoff at our efforts?
He's much more hands-on than that.
Okay.
The Lord Ruler has his own deck of cards,
Oh.
full of nasty surprises.
What?
Each turn, after a player takes their actions, they draw a card from the Lord Ruler's deck and resolve its effects.
It keeps you on your toes. I like it.
Yeah.
What kind of surprises are we talking about?
Sure.
Does he have any signature moves?
There are two main types of cards in the Lord Ruler's deck.
Yeah, okay.
Adversaries and edicts.
Okay.
Adversaries are like mini-bosses,
Hmm.
powerful creatures or characters who will hound you throughout the game.
Okay.
Imagine facing a hulking Coloss, a cunning Steel Inquisitor, or even a shape-shifting Khandra.
So we're dealing with elite minions and the big bad himself.
You got it.
This is starting to sound pretty intense. What about those edicts?
Edicts represent the Lord Ruler's will, his direct intervention in the game. He might heal himself,
Okay.
eliminate cards from the market, or even unleash devastating attacks on your team.
So how does this epic battle actually end? Do we get to have a final showdown
Absolutely.
with the Lord Ruler?
Completing missions weakens the Lord Ruler's influence,
Okay.
which is tracked on the dominance track. Once his dominance reaches a certain point, the final showdown begins. It's all-out war at that point.
All right. Paint me a picture. What does this final showdown look like?
The Lord Ruler has his own health pool, just like any other character. You and your team have to coordinate your attacks, burn your metals strategically, and unleash your most powerful abilities to bring him down.
I like it.
It's a true test of Allomantic teamwork.
So it's not just about individual skill. It's about working together, combining your powers to overcome a seemingly unbeatable foe.
That's right.
I love that. So what happens if we actually manage to pull it off?
If you defeat the Lord Ruler, you win the game.
Yeah.
You have liberated Scadrial from his tyrannical rule.
Yay.
And a new era of freedom begins. It's a truly satisfying victory.
A happy ending for once.
But what if we fail? Does the world end?
Well, it's not quite a world-ending scenario,
Okay.
but it's still a defeat if the Lord Ruler's deck runs out before you defeat him,
Right.
or if your team is wiped out.
Okay.
You lose this. The Lord Ruler's reign continues,
Gotcha.
and Scadrial remains under his iron fist.
High stakes indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're battling adversaries, we're dodging edicts, we're trying to complete missions,
Yeah.
and eventually facing off against the Lord Ruler himself. But there's one thing I'm still unclear about. How does the target mechanic work in this mode?
Okay.
Do we still have to attack each other?
That's a great question. In Lord Ruler mode, there is no target.
Oh.
You are all on the same team.
Okay.
So there's no need for forced attacks between players.
That's a release.
You can focus all your firepower on the Lord Ruler and his minions.
I was worried about having to betray my fellow MISTBORN.
I understand.
So it's all about cooperation and teamwork.
Exactly. You need to communicate, share resources,
Okay.
and strategize together if you want to survive. It's a true test of Allomantic teamwork.
I love how the game mechanics encourage cooperation.
Yeah.
It really captures the spirit of the MISTBORN books, where characters often have to work together to overcome impossible odds.
Absolutely.
It's not just a game. It's an experience.
That's one of the things that makes this game so special.
Right.
It's not just about winning, it's about experiencing the world of MISTBORN in a new and engaging way.
I like it.
You're not just playing a game, you're living a story.
So before we move on,
Yeah.
any tips for someone playing Lord Ruler mode for the first time?
Here are a few things to keep in mind when facing the Lord Ruler.
Okay.
First, prioritize completing missions.
Okay.
They not only weaken him directly, but also provide those valuable rewards that can be game changers.
Makes sense. Weaken the boss, not just the bodyguards. What else?
Don't get bogged down fighting his minions if you can strike at the heart of his power.
Okay.
Second, use your Atium strategically.
Okay.
It's a powerful resource, but it's limited, especially in this mode.
Right.
Save it for crucial moments.
Okay.
Do you need to power up a devastating attack, refresh multiple flared metals, or counter one of the Lord Ruler's nasty edicts.
Right.
Choosing the right moment to unleash Atium can mean the difference between victory and defeat.
Atium, use it wisely, not wantonly. Got it? Any other pro tips?
Third, keep an eye on those adversaries.
Okay.
They can really bog you down if you let them.
Right.
If possible, try to eliminate them quickly before their effects become too overwhelming.
So it's like a balancing act.
Yeah.
Between weakening the Lord Ruler, managing his minions, and completing those crucial missions.
That's right.
This sounds like a real strategic challenge.
It is, but that's what makes it so rewarding. And finally,
Yeah.
don't forget to communicate with your teammates.
Okay.
Share information, coordinate attacks, and support each other.
Right.
The Lord Ruler is a formidable foe, but with teamwork and strategic thinking, you can prevail.
All right. I'm feeling ready to face the Lord Ruler.
This cooperative mode sounds like an incredible addition to the game. It's challenging, strategic, and captures the epic scope of the Mistborn world.
Right.
It sounds like it elevates the entire game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's definitely a highlight for both fans of the books and newcomers alike.
Okay.
It offers a whole new way to experience the world of Allomancy and test your skills against a truly worthy opponent.
Awesome.
You're not just playing a board game. You are participating in the struggle for Scadrial's fate.
Well, folks, we've reached the end of part 2 of our Mistborn board game deep dive. We've explored the lore, the core mechanics, and the thrilling challenge of the Lord Ruler mode.
Right.
But there's one last Allomantic secret we need to unlock.
Yes.
To truly master this game. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground in our exploration of the Mistborn board game.
Yeah.
We've talked about burning metals, battling the Lord Ruler, and building a powerful crew of allies. But there's one element we've only touched on that I think deserves its own deep dive.
Right.
Atium.
You're right. Atium is more than just a powerful resource. It's a strategic game changer.
That can turn the tide of battle in an instant.
We know it's rare
Yeah.
and powerful, and it can substitute for any other metal.
Right.
Yeah. But what does that actually mean in terms of gameplay?
Right.
How does understanding Atium elevate you from a casual Mistborn
Yeah.
to a true master strategist?
It's all about the strategic options that Atium unlocks.
Okay.
Remember, every decision in this game is a trade-off. Do you push your limits now by flaring a metal, or conserve your resources for later? Atium gives you more flexibility to adapt and overcome those tough choices.
So it's like a safety net,
Yeah.
letting you take risks you wouldn't normally consider because you know you have that ATM backup.
Exactly. Let's say you need to burn a specific metal to activate a crucial ability, but you've already flared that metal.
Right.
With Atium, you can just substitute it,
Oh,
keeping your plan on track.
that's clever.
Right. You're not just reacting to what's happening. You're shaping the game to your advantage. Precisely, it's about recognizing those key moments where a single Atium token can make all the difference. It could be the difference between landing a devastating attack or being left vulnerable.
Okay. I'm starting to see why understanding Atium
Yeah.
is so crucial.
Yeah.
It's not just about hoarding it.
Right.
It's about recognizing its strategic value.
Let's dive into some specific strategic uses of Atium. The most obvious one is powering up those high-level cards that require multiple metal burns.
Okay.
Atium lets you unleash those devastating combos even when you're running low on other metals.
So it's like a turbo boost for your Allomancy.
Yeah.
You can really push your limits when you have some Atium in your pocket.
But it's not just about brute force. Atium can also bail you out when you've been flaring aggressively and need to refresh those metals.
Wait, you're telling me Atium can refresh flared metals? How does that work?
You can simply discard an Atium card to refresh any flared metal. No need to discard other cards from your hand.
Oh, wow.
It's like a get-out-of-jail-free card for those times when you've pushed your Allomancy too far.
That changes everything.
Yeah.
Suddenly flaring doesn't seem so risky.
And that's not all. Atium can also be used defensively.
Okay.
Remember the target mechanic in competitive games.
Yeah.
If you're holding the target and you know an attack is coming, Atium can power up a defensive card to mitigate the damage.
It's like a last-minute shield,
Yeah.
protecting you from a potentially game-ending attack. I'm starting to see how versatile this metal really is.
And in the Lord Ruler mode, Atium becomes even more valuable.
Oh.
It can counter some of the Lord Ruler's nastiest edicts.
Okay.
For example, if he eliminates crucial cards from the market, you can use an Atium card with a similar effect to replace those lost cards.
So Atium isn't just a weapon or a defensive tool.
Right.
It's a way to adapt and overcome unexpected challenges. It's like having a Swiss Army knife for all your Allomantic needs.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
The key to mastering Atium is incorporating it into your overall strategy.
Yeah.
Don't think of it as a last resort.
Okay.
Think of it as a tool to control the flow of the game.
This has been incredibly insightful. I feel like I have a whole new appreciation for the strategic depth of this game.
And that's what makes the MISTBORN board game so compelling. It's a game of choices, consequences, and calculated risks. It's a game that rewards strategic thinking and adaptability, just like the MISTBORN themselves.
Well, folks, that concludes our deep dive into the MISTBORN board game. We've explored the lore, the mechanics, the strategic nuances of combat, and of course the awe-inspiring power of Atium. But the real journey begins when you gather your friends, choose your MISTBORN, and step into the world of Scadrial. Go forth, burn some metals, and see if you have what it takes to overthrow the Lord Ruler or become the most powerful MISTBORN in the land.